All right, so it is the final week of college football before conference championship starts, and the bowl games, and the million other playoff games that are going to happen this year for the first time ever. And I'm going to cover it all right now. So first of all, it has been the wildest last week of football I think I have really ever been alive for. I mean, I was alive in 2007 as well, but I was not conscious of what was going on then. But here, now, it seems as though this final year, or this year, the final whatever I'm talking about, oh my gosh. Poor Washington State. Anyway, I'll get to that. It has been wild and insane. So we're going to start. Oh my God, this is going to be a long video. We're going to start with, I think, Thursday or whatever. Utah decided to beat UCF. UCF ended the season 4-8. Not what I was expecting from the team. I expected a more run-heavy team, in which I think they are this year, but I expected that to kind of take over their game. So it's obviously they lost to Florida this year. I think that's kind of when their season kind of took a nosedive. But other surprising news out of for UCF, their coach decided to step down and is now the offensive coordinator for the Florida State Seminoles, which is wild and wacky. I don't know how that works in contract terms, but what? Not what I expected for an offensive coordinator. I guess it's a big old upgrade. I'm interested to see what happens. Nebraska and Iowa. Nebraska lost to Iowa on a last-second field goal, 13-10, and that score will come up later in this video. I have nothing else to say about this, do I? I think I kind of expected this to be a higher scoring game. I don't know why I do this to myself in regards to these two teams. But these two teams just kind of don't play Patrick Mahomes style football. They are stuck in the 1930s, and they think they will always be there no matter what. Don't care who their coaches are, what happens. I think just because of where they play, the weather they play in, you're more likely to just run the ball and get it over with that way, and that's exactly what happened for both these teams. However, Nebraska did pass the ball a number of times. Dylan Raiola was 22 of 32 of 190 yards. That's a lot for throwing in, I think, what was cold weather. I didn't watch the game, but it's in Iowa. It gets cold. I don't know. Oh my God, so many games. Stanford lost to San Jose State, 34-31. I expected Stanford to win that one, just because it's Stanford. I knew nothing about San Jose State besides the record before the game, which they were 6-5. And I kind of just expected the Stanford to be like, yeah, we got players. That didn't happen. Instead, San Jose State won at home, and still sucks that the Pac-12 is gone, because this is such a weird game for Stanford to play as their last game. Skipping ahead. Minnesota and Iowa played, and Minnesota and Wisconsin played, and Wisconsin lost. I was watching some other Wisconsin people who liked the team, and they were talking about how they still might have a shot at beating Minnesota since the rest of their season went to shit. And it was pretty obvious to me that they were not going to beat Minnesota just because of the amount of effort that was put in Oregon, and then the less amount of effort that was put in through the rest of the games of the season. I expected a quarterback change after that game. I would have done a quarterback change after the game. I'm also basing that choice off of what Florida did for this season. Granted, they didn't need to do a quarterback change. It was kind of forced upon them. But you have a 4-star quarterback that you recruited out of Texas like a year ago. He's sitting on the bench. I don't know why he's sitting on the bench. Give him a shot in like one of these games. I'm not going to look at their schedule now, but I'm pretty sure there's at least one game in there in which he could have started all 4 quarters, gotten a good look at him, and then you would have really gotten to see if he was able to give your team the juice to go into whatever. But they really wanted to stick with Braden Locke, and that did not work that too well. Colorado played Oklahoma State. I expected Oklahoma State to score a little bit more. They didn't. They scored nothing. Colorado beat them 52-0. Colorado, I don't know what to say about this team. Essentially, this just felt like a stat padding game for them, especially for Shador and Travis Hunter. funnily enough, Travis Hunter was not a rush or receiving highlight of the game. Wester was for Colorado, and then Howland was the rushing person for Oklahoma State. The Egg Bowl was Ole Miss and Mississippi State. My goodness, I knew this game was going to be close. I didn't pick Mississippi State to win. I knew they weren't going to, but I did expect them to give them some trouble. I kind of was like, oh my goodness, it could happen, because I think through the third quarter, before Ole Miss kicked the field goal, I was like, oh, Mississippi State could do something, but it was pretty obvious that Mississippi State's quarterback I think he's a freshman, so I don't know. I'm not really going to yell at him for anything, but that just wasn't going to happen. Boise State stays alive for their national title run, if that's what they're going for. They beat Oregon State 34-18. And then the most ridiculous game of all time, Georgia Tech and Oklahoma. No, Georgia Tech and Georgia. Georgia and Georgia Tech. I wanted Georgia Tech to win this game. They should have won this game. The fact that they lost this game is probably the most depressing thing in the world. If I were a Georgia Tech fan, I probably would have drank myself to death after that game, because it went to 8 overtimes and they lost. They had the game won throughout most of the game, and then somehow they either played off, or their defense gave up, or the coach was like, what's going on here? And they decided to just let Georgia take over for the fourth quarter. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to Georgia Tech's 10. I think King fumbled the ball once, and that kind of screwed it up too, but I don't know what's going on, man. That was insane. I wanted to go to bed, and I did going to bed, because I was like, fuck it. I think after like the second or third overtime, you just literally get the ball on like the 5-yard line, and if you score, then you win. And like neither team could do that throughout the game or throughout the overtime thing. It was just ridiculous. Can't believe Georgia's going to the SEC title game. They definitely should have lost that game. That would not have kept them out of the SEC title game, but Jesus God. Memphis and Tulane. Memphis beat Tulane. Tulane's hopes for going to the playoff games are L0. Not happening. Good on them. Good job on Memphis. Didn't watch the game. Didn't care enough. Yeah. Kent State is currently the worst team in the FBS, going 0-12 and 0-8 in conference play, so that kind of sucks. I really am excited to see if they do. I can't remember if they fired their head coach or not, but if they do get a new head coach, I think they should go after anybody. Akron and Toledo. Toledo and Akron, those are both in Ohio, and Akron won, and Akron's season is over, because Akron went 4-8 and Toledo went 7-5. I actually did a video on Toledo earlier. I was like, Florida should go after Toledo's people, and that's not going to happen, and it's probably a good thing. God, let's see. All right, so moving on to today's games. Those were all Friday's games, and like Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and whatever. We're going to start with North Carolina State. I knew North Carolina State was going to win. I watched one game, North Carolina State. I forgot what game they were playing. They have like a 6'6" quarterback, freshman out of Florida, a high school in Florida, like Shemaiden. I don't know how to pronounce that high school. I'm just going to call it Champaign. It kind of looks like that. They beat North Carolina. North Carolina's not a very good team this year. They actually fired Mac Brown. Dumbest thing in the world. I can understand why they did it, because he was like, I'm going to come back next year, even though this year sucked. And they were just like, you know what? No. So, they kicked him out, and they're going to let him finish out the year. But NC State, I knew they'd win. That quarterback that they have for NC State, he's going to be really good next year as long as they have receivers. If they don't have receivers, he's going to be But his legs are Jalen Milroe-esque. He's not as stocky as Jalen Milroe, because he's 6'6", but he can run if he has to, and I think he's going to be very difficult to take down. And with his length, I think getting first downs are going to be a pretty big breeze for him, and touchdowns. And I guarantee you, next year, 2025 season, it's going to be a game-deciding thing. NC State's going to have the ball. He's going to run it. He's going to reach out. He's like, oh, his arm's long enough. He's got the first down, whatever. So that's going to happen. UCLA beat Fresno State. UCLA is not going bowling. If they do go bowling, I was going to say they should play Wisconsin, but now that they're in the same conference, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. Oh God, Rice won a game. They won a football game. South Florida lost to Food. Rice beat South Florida 35-28. The line on this game was like Rice by I think 2 touchdowns or something. I don't know if like South Florida got like a bunch of people hurt, but yeah, I don't know. Rice won. Good job on Rice. I hope their program gets better. It probably won't though. Temple lost their last game of the season, so sad. Army won against UTSA 29-24. They have finished 10-1 in conference play and 8-0. No, I'm sorry. Switch that. 8-0 in conference play and 10-1 in overall. I think they lost to Notre Dame was their only loss. So good on them. I think they just get the Army versus Navy game and then it's over for those kids and they just go on to the military and that's it. So good luck, have fun, and good job running the triple option. Texas and West Virginia, Texas Tech and West Virginia. Nobody cares. West Virginia probably should have fired their coach. They didn't do that. I think I already explained this in another video, but yeah. Baylor beat the shit out of Kansas 45-17. Kansas is now back to their post-2007 seasons of always having losing seasons as they decided to lose 5-7. They're 5-7 this year. So sad. Duke and Wake Forest. Duke won. UConn is actually a good team. I don't know if you know this, but they've sucked for the longest time, and now they are like, okay. They are not in a conference. They're 8-4, but they also played UMass, who was, I think, also not in a conference, and UMass is 2-10. So good on UConn. Yeah. Okay. Games that actually mattered and had some implications. Louisville played Kentucky. I don't know why I just said that previous sentence when this game has no implication on anything. Louisville beat Kentucky 41-14. Kentucky's terrible. Brock Vandagriff is not the quarterback for them. I don't think that their head coach is going to get fired, or else he would have been fired already. I also think that he's probably going to get fired next year if he has only 6 wins. But also, why would you fire this guy? Like, who wants to go to Kentucky? Not me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm intrigued to see, though. Illinois beat Northwestern 38-28. Northwestern put up a lot of points for what this team is this year, and they did not win, so that's not a surprise. Arkansas and Missouri played in the snow. Missouri beat Arkansas 28-21, and for some weird reason, I didn't watch this game either. Missouri decided to go for 2, it looks like, in the fourth quarter on one of the touchdowns, and it was just like, why would you need to do that? Because I think I read in a little byline thingamajig, it was like, they went for 2, and it was like already such a small, so much time was not left on the clock that I feel like you didn't need to go for 2, but whatever. Arizona got the shit kicked out of them by Arizona State 49-7. Speaking of the state of Arizona, they have so much talent in that state. It's kind of sad that like both schools cannot retain that talent. I think Spencer Rattler's from Arizona, and probably a whole bunch of other players too, and a whole bunch of people are moving there too, like a whole bunch of new people starting families and a bunch of old people because it's so hot there. So I don't know how Arizona and Arizona State haven't been able to retain the talent. I'm assuming Arizona State's going to be able to start that first, as Arizona is on a down year compared to last year. Last year they were insane, but I don't know. We'll see. Alabama and Auburn, the Iron Bowl. That was an exciting game. Not really. Alabama won. Whoop-de-fucking-do. The only other exciting game, God, there were so many games today. South Carolina was at Clemson, and South Carolina win. I knew South Carolina was going to win because it was just like, there's no way Clemson's going to win this one. I turned on the game, I think, at halftime at work, and I was like, oh my God, Clemson is not winning. It was tied at that point. I was just like, I don't know. I think I turned it on a little bit later, and then Clemson was winning, and I was like, oh no, and then I turned it on when the game was over, and Clemson lost 17-14. California got their apps. Holy shit, California is bowl eligible? I had no idea. Cal is bowl eligible. I didn't know if you knew that. I didn't know that. I swore they lost pretty much every single game after this, but I am not. Cal is bowl eligible, but they lost today at SMU 38-6. I feel like Cal started off really strong. Turns out they beat an Auburn team that just absolutely sucks. SMU, though, holy God. If SMU wins the national title, which they won't, I need you to understand that. Their roster's not good enough. They're just very flashy and have a lot of speed. SMU's just good. They're just good. They're going to play spoiler in the playoff. They have to go through Clemson for the ACC title game. Who's going to win? I feel like Clemson just might take it just because. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, this is the most competitive game Vanderbilt's ever played versus Tennessee probably in the past 10, 15 years. And Vanderbilt lost 23-36. Good on Vanderbilt making it to the bowl game this year. They deserve it. All props to them. Amazing. Great. Syracuse and Miami. Miami doing Miami things and losing to Syracuse. They lost to a fucking fruit. Can you imagine losing to a fucking fruit? It's kind of like losing to rice. How do you lose to a grain? That's insane. But Miami lost to a fruit, and now they're really sad because them going to the playoff is probably nil. They played literally no one this year. Their best win is probably against Florida, even though Florida's still not that great. I don't know what happens. Battle for the Shillelagh, or whatever it's called, the jeweled Shillelagh. USC and Notre Dame. Notre Dame decided to win at USC. 49-35, closer than anyone else expected except me. I'm just so fucking smart. I knew USC was going to score points. That's what they do. I don't really know what it means that Jordan Love or Jay Love or whoever the running back is for Notre Dame was not the highest rusher for this game. I don't know if he got hurt or what. Jeremiah Love, that's his fucking name. I don't think he got hurt, but yeah, I don't know. Jay Price actually got the most of the yards. He has 111 for 12 carries and 1 touchdown. But Jeremiah Love has like one big hurdle. That's cool. Penn State beat the shit out of Maryland. Ohio State beat Michigan. Just kidding. No, they didn't. Michigan lost. Nope. Switch that around. Ohio State lost to Michigan 13-10. I expected this is the one where I was wrong. I expected Michigan to like kick the living shit out of them, but then I watched Georgia and play Georgia Tech, and I was like, wait a minute. No, they're not. I still expected Ohio State to win. Yes. I may have just said something like not even 30 seconds ago that was something else, and it should have been something else. But anyway, Ohio State won. I knew they were going to win. I thought Michigan would make it close. They did make it close. I did not expect Michigan to win. Michigan won. Wow. Ohio State, man, is in shambles. Ohio State's probably still going to the playoff. Even if they win the national title, I don't know if Ryan Day's still going to be there. He probably will be. Holy shit, I don't know, man. I have no idea. No idea. Washington State just lost to Wyoming 14-15. God, that sucks. Other games that are happening right now, James Madison and Marshall are tied at 17 in the third quarter. Virginia Tech's beating Virginia 27-11. Nevada is losing to UNLV 31-7. Kind of expected that with Nevada's 3-9 season so far. Iowa State and Kansas State. This game is obviously going to be close. I don't know why anyone would ever think that this game is not going to be. Iowa State is winning by 3. I expect Kansas State to win. Texas and Texas A&M. This game has been the game of the talk for the past week, and Texas A&M has not shown up. 2 things about this game. 1, I expected Texas A&M to win, and B, I'm realizing that people saying that Texas didn't play anybody this year doesn't mean shit. I think what actually should mean anything is that Texas has experience, and Texas A&M does not. Texas A&M has a freshman quarterback at the helm. He's done well so far, but now he's actually playing against a real team, and that's just just a disaster. Even if you're playing at home, it's still a disaster. So I don't care that Texas doesn't play anybody, or this should prove that it doesn't matter that Texas doesn't play anybody. They're still a good team, and they still have depth and players and money. I think Texas A&M is money too, but as they just kicked out some guy for $86 million and told him not to coach anymore. Texas is probably going to win. So that was a surprise to me and everybody else. Washington and Oregon. There's 12 minutes left in this game. Oregon's probably going to score 50 before the game's over. Washington only has 14 points. Oregon's got 35. LSU and Oklahoma. This was tied before the third quarter. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. And then LSU threw a TD, and then it was like, oh shit. But anyway. So yeah, LSU's gonna win. Good on them. Purdue and Indiana. Purdue. God, oh man. I don't know what's going on with Purdue. I don't know what's gonna happen with Purdue. I don't know if Purdue's gonna have a football program after this year, but they suck. They lost to Indiana. 0-59. They can't move the ball at all. They have I was going to say, I think they had Hudson Card for the quarterback, I think. I don't fucking know. He hasn't done anything. He can't do anything. I don't know. The resurgence of Purdue is going to take a fat minute, and it may not happen at all. And the last game that I'm going to talk about before I shut this damn thing off, first I'm going to show you this clip.
19th turnover on the season. Lagway in trouble. So tough to take down. Spins out of the sack. Throws on the run. First down, Florida. There's a flash of what makes this freshman quarterback so.
And then we're going to talk about Florida beating Florida State 31-11. Yay. So first of all, that clip, that's amazing and awesome. This is why I bought the DJ Lagway card when I did, because I guarantee you when he goes to the NFL, it's going to be like a $300 card. Will it actually? Probably not. But, you know, buy early, sell hot, so I don't fucking know. Yay, good on Florida. Sucks for Florida State, but that's kind of what happens when you get your entire roster from the transfer portal. But, yeah, Florida, great. Montrell Johnson had like a 63-yarder. Shamir DK. First of all, announcers do not know how to spell or say this kid's name at all. Like, you should, I don't know how this works, but it's not Dyke. It's DK. And then it's not, maybe this is just his nickname, but they say Shem and not Shamir. And it's just like, hello? Like, learn to say people's names or something. You are the announcers. I feel like that's kind of your only fucking job. But yeah, so Florida just scored, and it's 31-11 with 2 minutes left. Florida's going to go home with the win. And anything else about this game? The defense has been lights out for this game. Florida State had like 9 fumbles, and they lost like 4 of them. I think they've had like almost 8 or 9 sacks. Just a bad year for FSU. But Florida, on the other hand, they have 356 yards to Florida State's 221 turnover, which was seemingly a miscommunication, or kind of seems more like an underthrow. But and 17 first downs to Florida State's 19, with 25 minutes and 21 seconds of time of possession to Florida State's 32 minutes and 36 seconds. I don't know what that is. That's great. That's great. They're doing great. They did great. They won. It was a very sloppy game. Honestly, it should have been like 49 to whatever this number is, because holy fuck, they were in the end. They were like, they had the ball and they were kind of in the other side of the field a decent number of times, and they still didn't get it. It was just like, what the fuck are you doing, guys? But you know, whatever. The defensive line for Florida is insane. I'm very glad that they're actually playing these young guys, because I kind of wondered, I think either last year or the year before, I was like, you guys have all these damn freshmen and you're only playing these damn seniors. Can we please figure this shit out? But Billy figured it out, and so now they're doing pretty good. So, good on Florida. They're going to a bowl game. Are they going to win the bowl game? It's a whole other fucking question. Who are they going to play in the bowl game? Probably Tulane. I wouldn't surprise me if it's Tulane. It would just kind of make too much sense for it not to be Tulane. Do I want it to be Tulane? I really don't care. But, yeah, I'm looking at the list now of teams that just won today, and it's just like, I don't really, I mean, hell, you can play Fresno State. That might be a new one. Kent State, why not? Georgia Tech, actually, it might be Georgia Tech. That'd be an interesting one. Anyway, actually, I would prefer that one. Anyway. Yeah, Florida did great. They did great. I have nothing else to say about the team. They came back from a shit first half of the season and decided to kick ass in the second half, and that's great. Let's hope they can build on this. They got a whole shit ton of new recruits for the past, I think for the past 3 days, they've gotten 1,000 different recruits, and it's wonderful. They got this recruit that's also tied to Jamie French. Jamie French is yet to commit to the team, but yeah. Did I talk about that Michigan-Ohio State game? I kind of did. I'm going to go back to that for a second. Michigan was not expected to win that game, but they did. Good on Michigan. Very happy. 4 years in a row. Kind of a big deal. Didn't think it would happen. No one really thought it would happen. I think even most Michigan fans kind of felt like, we're going to get fucked this year. Just the amount of money and talent that Ohio State has in general, and the fact that they just got shit on by a team with really no quarterback is insane. Yeah, but back to Florida State. Good job, Florida. You won. You did something. You're going bowling. And hopefully, when you go bowling this time, you're not going to end up with a losing record if you lose the bowl game. So, anyway, that's my review. The final review of the 2024 season. I might do the bowl games. I might not. If that's really depending on if I have time. I might just do the reviews of the bowl games before they happen, but I'm not gonna do after the bowl game shit because I'm gonna be with family and doing other shit or dead. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. I will see you when the playoffs field is announced and when I have more time to film.